okay? Thank you guys for 35 subscribers. About 3 weeks ago, it was only like 6 or 2, I think. So thanks. All right. So we're doing homeschooling and we're talking about the scientific method. And my daughter is, learning what the scientific method is all about. And we did a couple of practice rounds on the IXL and a couple of the problems. And I was like, wait a minute, I just did an experiment. And my observation, so we just started, she drew this the other day, which is really cool. She wrote all this out. And in my experience with winging, you see I use a 4.6 36 liter board, which is pretty small for winging. Everybody else is using big boards. So my observation was that how come I could start with these boards and other people were having issues with the boards. So I said, probably has something to do with the shape of the boards. And what I did was I went back and I tried, I asked the question, why is this happening? So I grabbed a hold of one of the other boards, which is shaped like this with the bevels. We call them the bevels that go out. And, I guess a testable explanation was, I think that when the flat boards, when you push down on the water as your wing is powering you up to get up, the flat boards deflect water down, giving you pressure, pushing back on your feet. And the beveled boards, right? When you push down on that board with the power of the wing, when you push it across the water, it's letting the water come out. So you're not getting as much pushback from the board. So, you need that pushback because you want to keep pressure on your wing. So that was my testable hypothesis. So that was it. And so what was the experiment? Well, what I did was on the same day with the same wing, with the same conditions, I went out there and I tested both boards. And my board, which is flat, is 36 liters. And I tested a Freedom Foil board, 38 liter board. So that's 2 liters. That's a lot of flotation. If you get a 2 liter bottle and you try to sink it, that's a lot of flotation. So I went to the same exact spot in the water and I did the experiment. I tested it. And then iterate. Yep. So I did it a couple more times. And what I did to refine it was I actually tested a 30 liter. This is a 4.6 because I also thought that maybe the length has something to do with the kickback. So I went down to a 4.0 and a 30 liter flat board. And these boards are all about 21 to 22 inches wide. And then I said, if I can do it with the smaller board, then this for sure is a good theory here. Anyways, my conclusion was that the flat boards are better for water starting. A quick safety tip. I do in Maui. I talked to some of my friends in Maui who are usually, we live in Puerto Rico. They're usually ahead of us. Because, they have better conditions and a lot of testing goes on. And some of the guys were going down in liters initially because it's more fun foiling, I believe, to have a smaller board. But eventually, due to the what they call the big fish factor or the shark factor, they started going up in liters, right? They wanted to be dry, or they wanted to stay on their knees if anything happened. They wanted to be able to be up above and out of the water. And that's a really valid point. So I'm gonna call that the safety factor. Things to take into consideration when choosing a board, because we don't want to buy 5 boards. I'd like to have one board that works for everything. My 4.0 30 liters works for proning really well. But if I was to do downwinders or crossings, I definitely would not want to be on my 4.0 30 liters. I would still want, this is where I would decide. The beveled boards, they fly really well. Something about the volume distribution of the beveled boards, once you're up foiling, they feel like they slice through the air a little bit better. Maybe it is the same thing. Maybe the wind, kind of comes off of the bevels and makes the board kind of slice through the air easier. That I haven't tried. These, if you don't have a long nose on the flat boards, it feels great as well. So for the safety factor, I'd like to be up into the 45 to 50 liter boards, and I weigh 150 pounds. I think that if I was going to go above 45, I would maybe go beveled, and that would be just to improve my feeling of the board while I was up in the air. Either way, this is all new and everybody's figuring it out. This is, I was teaching my daughter the scientific method, and that's what I did to come up with my conclusion on that observation. Thanks, guys.